Our next story takes you to Nebraska in the United States, where archaeologists are digging a site in hope to find remains of indigenous children who died in boarding schools centuries ago. These children were separated from their parents as part of the state policy. Some of them died from diseases like typhoid, and some were apparently accidentally shot. But many of their bodies were never sent back home to their grieving families. Our next report telling you more.
These archaeologists are digging at a remote site in Nebraska. They are looking for a lost town or an ancient well. They are looking for children whose graves have been lost to time. These children belong to indigenous tribes. In the 1800s, the state separated these children from their families and put them in Native American boarding schools. The idea was to eradicate the culture and languages of the indigenous population. There were at least 400 such schools working towards this goal. One of them was called the Genoa Indian Industrial School. It opened in the year 1884, some 145 kilometers from Omaha. At its height, the school was home to around 600 children. They were from over 40 different tribes. Several of these students died, some to diseases and some to strange circumstances. Reports say at least one student died due to so-called accidental shooting. Were their bodies ever returned home to their families? Some were. The others weren't as lucky. They were buried on the school grounds, somewhere here. This boarding school closed in 1931. Its buildings were demolished in the decades that followed, and the graves of the children were lost to time. Today, this area boasts of farm fields, railroad tracks, and also a canal. But where are the graves of the native children? In 2021, when remains of hundreds of native children were found in sites across US and Canada, the search for the Genoa's missing children gained renewed interest.
We're digging the dirt in a process called shovel skimming, where we just kind of push off and scrape away really thin layers of soil at very precise amounts. And we're using 1/4 inch hardware mesh to screen that dirt and attempt to identify any artifacts, any cultural material like pottery, glass, metal, things like that.
At least 500 children died at some of the boarding schools in America. Experts say that number could be thousands, even tens of thousands. But why are archaeologists reopening the chapter over a century later?
You know, there's not just an interest in finding the cemetery, but also, you know, wanting to bring that sense of closure and some sense of peace and reconciliation to the families and the descendant communities who had children attending Genoa and who, whose children were lost here and may still be buried on site here.
Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.